explain this. I've seen this symbol.
So it's for Satan.
Oh, yes. Okay.
A pride flag. And
I see Satan now. But
and,
yeah.
And it says believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like Satan's such a bud that he's like, believe in yourself. I was thinking it'd be funny if like the reason why Satan got cast out of heaven was because he was gay. Because in the Bible, there's so much anti-gay stuff.
I wonder if he started. And it's a sin.
Exactly. And he was
like, that's deep.
God, jeez. Just
who do you think he was doing it with? Michael or
for
Gabriel?
Sure.
Gabriel, that's what it is. All three.
And then, so hell is just a massive gay party.
Yeah.
It's a drag show every night. Hello, listeners. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to this week's episode of Chris and. This week's guest is a longtime friend, and she's been on, feels like every other podcast we've ever tried to do.
Yep.
And is always just so much fun to talk to. Today's episode is featuring Spencer Pelowski. It's Pelowski, right? Or is it Pelowski?
Pelowski.
Pelowski.
Yeah. I don't know. Don't make Polish jokes. I never get them.
I tried to think of like, I can't think of how many times I've ever had to use your last name.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Sometimes people think it's Fletcher, and that's fun when I get cool meal with Spencer Fletcher. But
in all of the times that we've spoken, I've always got the sense of, or tried to wrap my head around how you navigate being the down to earth person that you are, and like the grounded person that you are, navigating all of the different types of like social dilemma, or not dilemmas, but like social societies that you've been a part of. Like, so to give perspective, like let's go back to childhood.
Okay.
And how many siblings do you have?
4 younger sisters.
You're the oldest.
Yes.
So you got the worst end of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, that's usually how it goes, I should say. The most expectations.
Yep.
Parents are still trying to figure out how do we make the perfect child, and
I wasn't expected. Like, I think that kind of started my road, but
What do you mean by that?
I was a whoops baby my mom's senior year of high school.
Yep. I see.
So she graduated in May, got married that June, and had me that September. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how much younger are your siblings?
Oh, my God.
Like, okay. How old's the youngest?
Is 10 years younger than me.
Okay.
That's Taylor.
That's not too crazy then.
No. And then let me do the math real quick. My favorite sister, which we'll talk about soon. She was born in 1987 of December.
Okay.
So whatever that math is, less than 2 years younger than me. I know that for sure. Like 16 months.
87, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I was born in 87.
Yeah.
Actually, Kim was born in December of 80. No, she was 86.
Yeah, I'm 86, but yeah.
Okay. So explain, what was the religious aspect of your youth like?
Mormon.
And now, like, devout Mormon or trying to figure shit out Mormons? Does that make sense? Because there's like people who converted into the religion, and
I'm pretty sure I was born into it because my mom's parents were Mormon.
Oh, okay.
I would say it was like casual Mormon.
Okay.
Like, we still had caffeine, but when we would go to events, of course, it was not caffeine. But I was raised with a really good Mormon mom, kind of taught to be like how to be a good mom and a motherly wife.
Okay.
I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like the whole
submissive wife.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I was, I think, groomed in little ways to do that way. Because like me and my sister, Sarah, who's right below me, we are very, I'm trying to think of the right words for this.
Whores.
We're whores. Hey, daddy. We're super submissive. And we talk from time to time like, God, where does that come from? Because any arguments, I'd rather just like be a turtle and put my took everything in a shell and
Okay.
like speak my mind about it. And it's taken a lot of work because I'm almost comfortable doing that depending on the situation. We're also very hands on moms.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of that stems from my childhood.
Yeah. And that's a really big LDS attribute for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, because like statistically, mothers, like younger mothers, their children are usually more likely to have like that pattern kind of repeats.
Yeah.
So did you notice or like reflecting back that there was any like extra awareness to that? Like, was your mom very avid about abstinence and things like that?
I guess kind of. I remember getting my CTR ring, choose the right way,
Mm-hmm.
and that emphasis on like being as godly as you can.
Uh-huh.
God, I don't even know what happened to that ring now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, and we had friends across the streets. I can't remember their last name. The Schleeps. Oh my God, I think that's it. Yes. And they were also Mormon. And so I remember kind of wanting to get married at the temple because that's,
Mm-hmm.
what they train little girls to think. I'm pretty sure that's somewhere deep in my subconscious. But yeah, I don't know.
Because I didn't realize until I was older, like how like the massive emphasis that my parents were putting on it until like recently. Like we always joked about how my oldest brother is a bastard. It's just fun to say. Like he even calls himself that. But like looking back on it, I was like, oh, that's why you guys were hyper vigilant, because it's such a huge deal to have sex out of wedlock, let alone have a child out of wedlock. Like it's a big fucking deal. And so I think that they were just trying to prepare us, and like even your mom and dad can fall victim to premarital sex.
Well, yeah, and then I don't remember what it's called, but I remember once we moved from Washington State to Nebraska when I was in 6th or 7th or 8th grade, we would go to these church events, and it was always separated by girls and boys.
Yeah.
I just can't remember what that group crap was called.
So there was like young women's.
Young women's, that's right. So even then, like constantly keeping those hormones away from each other.
Yeah.
And I went to one dance and they were very strict about the distance between you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And any songs that would encourage getting closer.
Yep.
It was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember that a DJ one time, like before playing the song was like, all right, I'm going to play this song, but you guys have to keep it under control.
Right.
And it was, what's that song called? It's a Blink-182 song. Say it ain't so.
Oh my gosh.
I'll not go. Turn the lights on. Carry me home.
I think it's Say It Ain't So.
Is it Say It Ain't So? Okay. I always think of Weezer whenever I.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But so that was the song. And I remember being like, is he going to play like To the Window to the Walls? What's going to happen?
Sweat drip down my balls. Yes. Oh
but
my God.
when that came on, I was like, whoa, oh man. If your kids are going to lose their shit, and they did. They ended up like, I thought they were going to revolt. Like they were so excited.
wonder if the church has seen the music video.
Oh yeah, that is the one where it's just so weird to think, and then to reflect as adults to be like, why was I so this way growing up, and then now I don't care. Like what were these factors? Because when there's anxiety in that transition, which can really suck. There's all of that conflicting, like when people lay on you eternity, the word eternity and salvation and things like those are such heavy connotations to throw at kids, especially we get baptized at 8. That's
I know.
crazy.
And then they like I remember this, the missionary or whatever. Yeah. He was like putting his hands on my head. He's like, can you feel the warmth of Jesus floating through your body or something like that? And I remember being so cold. I'm like, I think so. It's just a lot to put on an 8-year-old's plate.
Yeah. You're pretty good at reading people.
Yep.
So the conflicts of interest. Like you have friends that aren't Mormon and you're like, because they teach in the church too, or at least they used to, like, tell your friends about church, have, see if they want to come on Sunday and that whole thing.
Which is how I got roped into Young Women's, by the way, because we stopped going for a while and there were like 5 people in my grade who I was kind of friends with, like, hey, we heard you're Mormon. I'm like, oh my God, how'd you know? How'd you find me? And be like, oh, come to church with us. Like,
yeah,
come to our youth group things. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, they find us.
I know. So I got a letter recently from the church in Otsego, like, hey.
Oh, that's right. About, like, I forgot it's right there.
Letting Jesus into your heart. And I'm like, how in the hell did they find me? Well, I did this census thing.
Yeah.
I think that's how they found me.
That's funny.
Because I'm pretty sure they're in cahoots with those because they're really good at doing records,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just hang on to them. Like, it was up until probably 3 years ago that I finally was able to get the missionaries to stop coming to our house.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to have to say, to get them to stop coming to the house. Like, you should just be like a one-time, I'm good. No, 9 years of...
Well, if it gets that, I might make a photocopy of my certificate of being baptized as a Lutheran. Before I got married and taping it to my window.
I like it.
Like, what are you going to say about
that? The funny thing is that shit makes them work harder. Like, Kim was baptized Lutheran, and they were still trying to get her baptized because they were like, well, that's pretty good. You got a B, but we want to give you an A.
Yeah. In some religions, by the way, I don't remember which ones. It's maybe Catholics. But if you're double dipped, it's a sin.
Oh.
I'm living the sin life.
But also,
who cares?
It's just water.
I know.
There's born again Christians and they do that whole thing. Whatever.
Exactly. Stick to you.
So now, back to the whole friendship thing. Like, do you recall having friends that were not Mormon and maybe they didn't stick out to you as much as it did to me, but like that whole thought of like, they're not Mormon and they're awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like freedom.
Yeah.
Like you're living this carefree like life. And I think besides Jehovah's, I think Mormons, they're like very aggressive with getting people to join you.
Oh, yeah.
It was just kind of nice not to have to talk about Mormon things or people ask you 100 questions about it,
Mm-hmm.
But now as an adult, when you find someone that used to be Mormon, you're like, I feel seen.
Yeah, and not everybody gets it, because I've met people who say that they're Mormon and I would like rattle off stuff and they're like,
what is that?
I'd be like, oh, when you say you're a Mormon, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, my mom is. It's like, well, did you do 3-hour church or did you not?
Right. Did you get the little trays full of little tiny cups of water, silver trays, and bread?
Did you get the ketchup cups?
Yes. Did you have to stand up at the front of the whole congregation and like talk about, because I did it once, about
your
like my
testimony?
Yes, bearing my testimony. I was like, what was I talking about? But yeah, like, have you done that? Were you traumatized?
It's terrifying to think like you have like 9-year-olds going up bearing their testimony and like feeling the pressure of having to get to that emotional state, because they're watching all these adults getting to this emotional state of like, I have to feel it so much that it's going to bring me to tears.
Right. I remember crying because I was just nervous. Like, I remember my mom helping me, but like, I can't even tell you what the hell I said.
Yeah.
I probably made up shit. But like, what 9-year-old has a lot to confess?
Yeah. I remember trying to deviate and like saying, talking about like being inclusive and and forgiveness and stuff. And they're like, well, I mean, knock that shit off, but
we ain't got time for that.
So now in that, like that whole subservient wife, thing, and then the religion itself promoting bring more people in, that whole thing. And then, like I said, being the grounded like person that you are, did you have any issues with like panic attacks or any type of anxiety?
I have anxiety.
You do?
I have theories from where that has stemmed from multiple sources. I would probably say my anxiety for trying to be the perfect mom and perfect wife probably stems from the Mormon upbringing on some level. It's like my mom was such an awesome mom when we were little, and so attentive that I always try to strive to that level. And I don't even know why, but I do it to myself.
Like I said, I think it has to do with that whole that heavy language that's used towards kids, because then you're like, the expectation is ingrained in you then. So it's more than just like wanting to, be as good as mom. Like there's this other shit that was attached to it that you kind of forget about, but it was so heavy that you're like, if I don't do it, what does that mean? Not only am I not a bad mom, or am I a bad mom, but does that also mean I'm going to go to hell because I gave my kids corn dogs 2 days in a row?
On some level, you're failing. You don't know where that failure is going to take you.
Yes.
Yep.
It's very intense. So that stuff didn't come until later on in life?
Until I had kids.
Okay.
And then I noticed it when I started getting really serious with Paul. I was just super submissive with things. And if I disagreed, it still gives me anxiety because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I shouldn't be disagreeing with my husband. Like I'm going to make him mad.
I mean, is that something that you're working on now?
Yes.
Wow. That's tough, man.
And it's hard for me to say no to things.
Yeah. I'm going to put a pin in that because that's a topic that I do want to talk about and like highlight. But back to like growing up. So did you must not have had anger issues or like overt anger issues?
I had anger issues.
You did? Okay.
We moved to Nebraska, which was about 1996.
Okay.
Ish. I would have really bad anger issues, and I would fight with my sister, Sarah, because we were so close in age a lot. And a bunch of different things triggered me. And me and Sarah buried the hatchet. Like, we understand what was happening. But I would get so mad, I'd go in my closet, my nose would start bleeding because my blood pressure got so freaking high.
Wow. That actually could have been anxiety as well.
Yep. Looking back on that now, yep.
That's really interesting, though.
I
didn't want to say
corn, and my dad would like turn off the electricity to my room, and he'd take the door off my bedroom because I'd slam it. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to assume the anger issues, but I was kind of thinking like, because that's how my older brothers were.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it only makes sense. And it sucks that it takes so long to get past that shit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that like we're making progress.
I don't have any anger issues anymore. I'm still...
Oh, I mean with our kids.
Oh, God.
Like making sure that they don't feel that like they can't release or they can't say what they need to.
Evan has anxiety because like she bites her nails. That's what her pediatrician has said. And she has anger issues. But I let her, when she needs to express herself, just let her have it out and try to talk her down from her ledge versus like...
bottle it up. I mean, so the first episode of this was this lady who have you heard of Break the Silence?
Maybe.
So it's an organization for victims of sexual assault.
Okay.
And sex trafficking. And she was talking about totally just blanked. Because there's so many things that we talked about, but when it comes to disciplining kids, the first spank is for the kid to get a message. Anything after that, the repetition of it is for the parent because they're frustrated that they can't convey this thing. And so it's...
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I felt that frustration of like not being able to get one of my kids to understand something, but I don't know. I don't feel that like physical need to do anything about it anymore.
No, I think I've spanked both of them once.
Same.
Out of frustration. And it's weird. Like that's our instinct is like beat the shit out of them. Really. It's like, once they get to a certain age, you're like, that's it. I'm going to like beat the shit out of you. You know?
It's crazy because what that means is our parents didn't know words.
No,
Like,
because I was spanked. I remember having to go out in the yard and pick a stick or a switch of my own,
yeah.
and I would get hit with it
Yeah.
across my butt, usually bare butt, you know?
Is the paddle still in here? Yeah. This is
Oh,
the
no.
last time I was
Yep.
spanked, was with this thing,
Mhm.
bare-assed. And I jumped out because my mom had thrown me over her lap, and she got one in, and then like one as I was running. And I was just like, I'm not going to let this shit happen anymore.
No.
It's insane. But yeah, it's that frustration of like, they think that because your brain remembers really traumatic things and really good things, they think that enough of this thing is going to make you go, oh, I should just not act that way.
Right.
But really, you're embedding this, like, what tends to happen is people go, well, I'm going to get hit anyways. And they accept this shitty thing that happens to them. And then they think they're shitty people, and it's a whole thing.
Or it makes the situation worse. Like for me, a few times, the situation just got worse. Like, especially, I remember when I was little, I got really mad about something, and I was screaming and kicking. My mom threw me in a cold shower. Nay. No, that did nothing. My head probably was spinning after that.
I think that the red dots are on, right? Anxiety.
Yep.
Everything's good. Okay. My mom threw me in the bathroom one time, and I don't know if she shut the power off or how she did it, but maybe she took out the light bulbs. All I remember is there was no light, and she put a blanket under the crack of the door, so it was completely pitch black. And I couldn't, because at that time, maybe I was 8, maybe. But
do you remember what you did to have that happen?
No, just the event, which proves the point even more that you're like, I don't even know what the fuck. I just suck.
Don't you love me?
It's crazy, man.
Do you have issues when it's pitch black because of that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm a full grown adult, and I'm like, whatever, man. It's dark. I'll say, like, you can't see. I don't know what's there.
Right.
It's your natural instinct to be like, is there something
I watch
there?
spooky stuff. I get it. Like, what's that shadow?
Yeah. And plus, it's helped having kids, because I go like, well, if there's something there, I give them a few seconds before. But yeah, that's an everlasting thing that I'll always be at least uneasy when it comes to like pitch black.
Right.
Can't help it. And yeah, so I don't know. So the anger issues were more geared towards your sister, or because of an event?
I would say it was always geared towards my sister. I'd always fight with her, and then we'd be separated, and I just kind of go down a spiral.
You'd be separated and go down
off topic. You won't record this part.
Okay.
So yeah, back on topic. I remember the events vaguely about just both of us wanting something and one of us getting it, and then just like causing a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough one. I want to talk about that so bad, but okay. So in larger like sibling groups, it's common, like, how come my brother Sean got this and I didn't get that, and like that whole fucking thing. And like, are you wearing my clothes? Where's my CD?
Oh my God, that happened all the time. I remember one time I got pissed that Sarah took my clothes. So me being the dumbass that I am, or was at the time, I should say, I took dish soap and put all over her clothes in her closet. Nah. This dumbass here had to give my sister my clothes to wear because I ruined hers for the day.
Oof. I mean, that's funny.
And I would hide like my special sweatshirts and stuff at my locker at school. So she couldn't take them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny, because now that's reminding me. So we used to take my brother's CDs and tapes and shit so much that he started hiding them either in his truck or in his locker.
Right.
That's funny.
Until I had a car, then we just kept our own shit in our trunk. It was like a shopping mall in there. So
You
bad.
know, it's funny. I saw a lot of girls do that. I never knew why. Maybe that's what was going on.
They probably had a little sister or big sister. They were hiding their stuff or their own stuff.
Wow. Fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, but I never finished college because I moved up here. I said, fuck it. I don't. Not that I'm not condoning college. Good for those that go, but I just knew it wasn't my path. So I didn't push it.
Same. I mean, I could have put myself thousands of dollars in debt for an artist's degree to make videos and photography, but it's like, I mean, luckily, you know, the internet allowed it so that it was totally unnecessary.
Right. And I just never could commit to what I wanted to do. Nothing ever felt right until I had kids. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm meant to be a mom.
That is interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's
I think that's from the Mormons.
It's, I mean, it's for some people like an impossible feeling to shake that first time you hold your kid and you're like, oh, nothing else matters.
No.
This is it.
And I had 200 credits, but none of them, all those credits were like a Mod Podge of crap.
Gotcha. Now, were they Republic credits or?
No, I started school thinking I was going to do nursing like my mom. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do interior design. I was like, no, now I'm going to do childcare, or I'm sorry, being a teacher.
Same thing.
And then I was like, And then Paul's like, we're moving to Minnesota. I'm like, okay.
Well, wait, okay. How old were you when you met Paul?
Great question. 22 or 23.
Oh, okay. Okay. So did you go straight to college after high school?
No.
Okay.
I waited like a year or two.
Okay. So what were you doing in that time?
Just working, like finding myself out. 'Cause I knew I didn't want to go straight to college because seeing all these people I knew being stressed out about it did not sound like my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing that.
And to watch them all go into debt and then drop out anyways. It's
my God,
fuck.
I know. And I got to go to college for free because my dad was in the military.
Oh, sick.
I wish I would have maybe taken more advantage of that, but.
You know, this is a saying, not everybody likes this, but why be great at one thing when you can be mediocre at a bunch of things?
Exactly.
But, okay, so now I'm interested. Were you trying to get out of your parents' house?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you recall that feeling of like, I'm out of school, at any time now I can get out, I just need the resources to do it?
Yeah, I was dating a guy. I started dating him when I was like a sophomore or junior. And then we moved in not too long after high school into an apartment together.
Oh.
But then a lot of garbage happened. So then I moved back home and I did not like that. And then I met Paul. And
when you say garbage happened?
He cheating.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason that like there's like I want to be goofy and silly and all that shit, but like I genuinely feel like there's something to be learned from you, and that was why. I mean, I wanted you to be the first one on, but shit kept happening. But yeah, I just feel like obviously like the Mormon connection, so we share that like struggle. But I just this sense of like. Or I'm just curious as to how you are so fucking pleasant when I kind of sense this other kind of journey that you went on where you could have been a shitty person because of all the stuff you went through.
After I broke up with Matt, the guy I was with during my end of high school, I went out and experienced a bunch of life things. Hope for show. No, for real. I think every woman, honestly, regardless of what you think, go out and explore before you commit 100% to someone. Yeah. But anyway, I did some of that, and I was not religious at all during that time. And I've always, I think your name, I'm convinced, whatever name you're given kind of lays out the path in life. And because I have a weird name.
You think Spencer's a weird name?
Oh my God, I can't even tell you how many times in my life I've been told that. Like, that's a boy's name.
What?
I'm like, okay.
Well, those idiots, I've met a lot of female Spencers. They're ding-dongs, okay?
Except for me. But just having that and then my mole on my face, birthmark, whatever you want to call it, I've always kind of had to make my own path. Like, I was never popular, but I was kind of a bitch in high school because of being made fun of for my name.
Ah, okay.
And my birthmark. And I don't have straight teeth, which is fine. I don't want straight teeth.
At least you have teeth.
At least I have teeth. And I'm cavity free, bitches.
Nice.
I think having tough skin early on in life has just kind of made me not care about what other people think. And
that's really interesting because, okay, you're starting to make more sense now.
Yeah.
So you develop that skin for survival skills.
Yes.
Because people who don't do that, you can fall victim to massive depression and tons of self-doubt and just, drive yourself into the ground with nothing. But if you're able to do that, but that's the tricky part is you're not a shitty person. So to have to do these like survival things,
right,
and then be able to come out and be like, whew, glad I made it out of there. Now I can be the sweet girl that everybody knows. I
remember this moment. I think it was my sophomore. It definitely wasn't my freshman year because that's when people were really big dicks to me. But I think it was my sophomore or junior year. There was this table right near me at lunch, and they'd be like, De Niro, Robert De Niro, because of his moles on his face. I'm like,
oh my God.
Don't let it show. Like having my Elsa moment. And just one day I was like, no, fuck this. So I go to their table and I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? And they're like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, stop talking shit to me. And then of course they want to be my friends. And after that, I was just like, no, I'm not embarrassed of this because I would try to cover it up with makeup.
Oh no.
I talked to a doctor one time to have it removed, but I would have had like a 2-inch scar, which would have looked way worse.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? No, this is me.
Also, how Nebraska seems like their whole like making fun of people is they're bad at it.
I don't remember dealing with that in Washington State in elementary. I know. I'm like, that's the best you got.
My God. So you see that it works, and so you move forward from there. Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, did you run into people like after high school that were like, oh, I thought you were an asshole. I didn't know that. You know what I mean?
I grew up in Bellevue, Nebraska. So after that, I moved to West Omaha, which would basically be like where I live at Otsego right now. I moved to Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, peace out, bitches. I never looked back. So even now, if I go into Bellevue, because that's where my family lives and my sister, I'm like incognito, Mrs. Iglesias.
Wow. So, I mean, what was the turning point then to, like, when did you feel like you didn't have to, like, have these defense mechanisms?
After I stood up to that table.
Oh, okay. Now I'm all confused.
No, it's okay.
So, you do this defensive thing.
Yep.
And the hard shell. So, did people stop making fun of you after that?
No, they still did. But
okay.
I was better at, like, not letting it get to me and make me sad. Like, why do I look this way? I want to have perfect skin.
Okay, so it's not that you were doing that all the time to people. You weren't like constant. I gotcha.
No.
Okay, so you just found that confidence in that moment.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I started becoming known as the bitch in high school because I just didn't want to deal with people's shit.
That's what I was curious about. Okay.
I was trying to find a good moment to put that in, but yeah, I just didn't care. I was friends with everyone. No one was going to tell me who I was going to be friends with. I dated whoever I wanted to. Like, I didn't care. And now all those bitches that did make fun of me, they're still stuck in Bellevue. Haha, motherfuckers.
Yeah, man. Bellevue. Sounds like a weird Disney town. I mean, was that confident? So when did that confidence start to be tested again then? Like when your boyfriend was cheating on you, did you feel that kind of slip away?
I don't think it started slipping away until I became a mom. and I lost my hot body, I wanna say, like, my little tight, like, high metabolism,
Oh, sure.
no stretch marks. That's when that started slipping away.
Okay. Okay. So you've made it through all of these things. You have kids, and so here's the interesting part. So when did Paul's like notoriety start to like become apparent to you? Does that make sense? Like people recognize his voice or recognize him?
I didn't know who he was when I first met him, and I was kind of oblivious. So I'd probably say within the first year of dating, I was like, oh, okay. So we'd have girls like messaging, asking for stuff and showing stuff.
Like you mean like his beard?
Yeah, let me touch your beard. Let me ride your beard. No. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. How did you deal with that stuff?
It caused some trust issues in our relationship. I mean, I think anyone wouldn't have issues with someone constantly coming at their boo. But it took me a long time because even when we moved here, people were still trying to like cause havoc in our relationship. But this is gonna sound cocky. He has me and I have him. I'll cut a bitch. No,
no, that doesn't sound cocky at all.
I remember in Nebraska, I was working at the mall, and there was this one girl who was trying to get herself inside our relationship, and she worked at Lovesac. I remember just getting so pissed. So she didn't realize who I was.
Oh.
I think she kind of had an idea, but didn't know. So on my lunch break or before after my shift, I went to her store because I knew she was working. And I was like, hi, my name is Spencer. I'm Paul's wife. And she ended up getting fired. So my husband, I think, like told the sales team what happened because they had a partnership or something like that with Lovesac for their music performances they put on.
Okay.
I was like, that felt really empowering. Be like, hi, I'm his wife. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And then now, if there's listeners that I think are being a little like overdoing it with comments and likes, I'll friend request them and then it stops. I'm a nice person, except my friend request. I'm not psycho.
Well, the crazy thing is like, I mean, I don't know. It's so weird because we're all neighbors, it feels like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in Minnesota. So it's weird to me that somebody would be like, think that it's cool to, you know, be able to try and pull some shit off. Or if they're just looking for the attention and they're not necessarily going to go through with anything, but they want to do that fucking mind game. It's like, I feel like we all know each other. So if you know Paul or you're a fan or whatever, you should they should know you and the girls.
Especially if he talks about us and the girls.
Yeah.
So if you're being overly flirty, like, which is a whole nother topic, but like no one respects marriages anymore.
Which I'm confused about, I guess, because I never had, I mean, one time when Kim, but we were still only 20 years old.
Right.
So it's like a super young marriage and that shit falls apart anyways.
Right. I know that story.
But beyond that, like the older we got, I didn't have people trying to fuck with us. And I feel like maybe I have blinders onto that because I recognize, I've said this on our other podcast, but Alex, the other comedian that is a co-host.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll be like, we have wives? We'll like look at each other and be like, oh no.
Right. I think Paul can ask himself the same.
But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It's all just very confusing to me as to and this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So you're introduced to a different class. That's what I was looking for, not necessarily society, but like you're being introduced to like, I don't know if clout chaser was appropriate back then, but like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like clout chasers trying to integrate themselves.
Yeah, we get a lot of awesome opportunities, experiences, all the stuff. And that's for sure one of the main reasons is because they want in on that stuff, which is cool. But like, don't overly flirt to get your way. Like, that's just weird.
I mean, that line of thinking is only going to make things worse for you.
Right.
If that's what people know you for, people are going to think that you suck and
Right.
not be able to trust you. But so when you guys came here, was that when, because now you're also interacting with like wealthy people. Like,
yeah.
Like I remember Kim and I won Studio C tickets to see Sarah McLachlan, which was insane. I cried so much.
With the arms of an angel. Did she bring a dog?
I was just going to say that. But no, like meeting all of these people, and Kim and I were like 24.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh my God, there's only a few people had like won tickets, and we were clearly people who won tickets.
Right.
And then the rest were like, someone tried networking with me who was like the head of advertising at Target or some shit.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Dude.
Yeah.
Wrong person. So like there's such a different level of shame that those people can inflict on who they perceive as lesser than.
Right.
Like, did you experience any of that because you were like kind of interacting or going to parties where people like that are present? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. There's an age gap between me and Paul, 13 years.
Oh,
and
that's
that
right.
Plays a factor. Yeah, because I'm not materialistic. And so that's kind of, I feel like I'm competing with that a lot.
Yeah.
With people, especially like wives of people I know or their husbands or whatever, like it's all materialistic, the latest and the hottest. And I'm just like, I'm not that way. And depending on what event or function or whatever, I will feel that pressure a little bit. And I'll start having an anxiety, like panic attack in my closet, crying because I don't know what to wear and I don't think I look good in it. And it's just like, stop. It's not worth it.
Well, yeah, and that's what's so insane. Like, oh, my brother and I won tickets to a film showing.
Oh wow.
There was this, I think it's called Minnie's First Time.
Okay.
Alec Baldwin, Jeff Goldblum, all these people. And for some reason, they did a screening in Minnesota.
Okay.
And I was 18, so we looked ridiculous. Didn't have anything like fancy.
Right.
We show up late to the to the preview. This dude, luckily, smoking a cigarette outside, is like, "All right, come on," and he like snuck us in. But the main character was there, the main actor.
Yeah.
I forget her name, but like we didn't know who she was and didn't give a shit. There was so much of this like high society shit going on.
Yeah.
And we saw some kids our age, and we were like, luckily, like, oh, thank God. And we're talking to them, making jokes about all the weird. There was like hula hoopers dressed like zebras, and
I love that.
It was so weird. But like to see all of these rich people, it seemed it was like the Hunger Games. Like, why all this weird shit?
Right.
One of the girls asked us who our parents were, and we were like,
wow.
Oh, my dad works at a paper mill. And they were like, wait, how did you guys get in? I was like, oh, we won tickets. And they just walked away from us.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
I feel that sometimes that kind of happens to me. If I go to an event, especially Paul's hosting or something, I'm by myself. Like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And they're just like, huh. Until I tell them what my husband does, then everyone's like, oh my gosh. And it's just question after question about him. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's just wild to me that, because like I said before, like you're this grounded person, but you've been, injected into this other thing. Like all of the people that at that Sarah McLachlan thing that were surrounding Brian Oak, like you could tell just the biggest assholes.
Right.
Like, constantly, oh, Brian, you're going to have to come to this thing and like chateau, I don't know, other fancy words.
Yeah.
It's just like, God, man, I don't know. Like, how can these people enjoy the same music that I do?
Right.
Like, do they actually enjoy it, or do they want like this weird access to an artist so that they can tell their friends
They're
later?
the same people that are texting the whole time at concerts
Oh.
or recording instead of letting it like vibe through you.
Mm-hmm.
They're those same people. Or they're in suites just like chatting with their girlfriends like, oh,
Yes.
Karen, your Louis Vuitton's perfect. Like, it's those are the same people.
When you took us to the Panic at the Disco,
oh my God, yeah.
that was the fanciest.
I'm surprised we made it there alive.
Yeah, that was insane.
That snowstorm, but
that was the fanciest like music experience I'd ever had. I
not
felt
to be
so
like
out
a
of
snob,
place.
but anytime I find out I'm getting sweet tickets, I'm like, oh, yeah.
But see, you're the person who should be getting them.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like somebody who is not an asshole. Like you're the person who, if somebody bailed out and you guys have an extra seat and you vibe with somebody that's cool, just like, come on in.
Right.
Like
exactly.
No other. No.
Who are you?
Stephanie and I paid, well, in blowjobs, but our boyfriends paid. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. We bent over for this.
I just don't know. I don't know how to deal with people like that. Maybe that's why I'm trying to bring this up.
Yeah.
Because I can't deal with people that are so shallow.
Agreed.
In that regard, that I lose it, not in like a screaming way, but you have no soul to me.
Right. And when we first moved here, I got caught up. Like I felt like I had to keep up with it for a while, and it was just not. It was making me feel so gross.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that way. Like, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. And I proudly shop on clearance still and all that. And when someone's like, oh, your shirt is so cute, where'd you get it? And I'm like, Walmart. And they're like, what's Walmart? They sell like wallpaper there or whatever Paris Hilton said.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I don't remember what that show was called, but it's just, I don't know.
Is it Paris and Nikki, or is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, with Nicole Richie.
They're like farm girls or
whatever. Yeah,
something like that.
Whatever, but yeah, basically they're like.
Do you feel like you're over that, or
100%?
Okay.
Since having kids again, especially having a second daughter, I'm really confident in my personality. Most days I'm confident in my skin, which we can circle back to that. But or I should say my body. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Well, I think the notion still fits because it's more than just appearance wise.
Right.
Like, yeah.
But I have my own unique style. I wear whatever I want to wear. I'm not interested in having like the latest and greatest handbag or high heels. Vans, yes.
Yeah.
I'm right there. And Jordans, like holla. But I don't like putting myself in a box, and I'm raising my girls to be the same way.
Did you have pressure from people like directly? Did it ever feel like? Because there's the passive aggressive way of making somebody feel lesser than.
Right.
Like, was that shit happening to you?
A little bit, because again, I know I don't have straight teeth, but I'm not interested because I don't want to do that. Because I didn't have braces growing up, so I mean, I don't want to fucking deal with that.
Yeah.
But again, I'm cavity free, which proves I go to the dentist.
Nice.
But when people would talk to me, they'll like,
oh Jesus,
rub their tongues over their teeth. I'm like, oh fuck you, my God, my teeth could be so much worse. And they just constantly do that, and then you can see them staring at your teeth.
Jesus.
I still get that from time to time. I'm like, they ain't yellow. I don't have black teeth. I'm like going through all the things like, do you have my dental card? And then like a few times I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get some veneers done, whatever. And Paul will be like, why? Like, who cares? And he helps me stay grounded too, because he's like, who cares?
I mean, and that's good to have a partner who is, but that's another interesting thing is like Paul's a sports guy, and it seems like that, like, and not just a sports guy in like the novelty sense, like he fucking gets in there.
Yeah,
I think
annoyingly so.
Yeah, but I mean that type of thing helps people stay grounded, so that shit like that does sound weird to them.
Right. And then me, if I get very uncomfortable, I make awkward jokes. So I made a joke one time, like, oh yeah, I used to play hockey. If it comes down to people like, is that your real name? And I'd be like, I'm going through transition. Like, like depending on how awkward people make me feel with physical appearance of stuff on me, I'm like,
well, I wonder too, like the what do you have? Like the whole what's in your bank account bullshit.
oh my God.
Like the assumption that we're going to, I don't know, Bali or some weird shit.
We're going to Napa.
Yes, yes, exactly.
On my friend's private jet.
And they're like, you should come. Like trying to, it's like they're asking knowing that you're going to be like, I can't afford that. Oh, you can't? Oh, you poor thing. Like bullshit like that.
Maybe next time.
I want to be like a fly on the wall for like to go back in time and like see all of those interactions.
Yeah.
Just to, I don't know. It frustrates me. I like talking up good people.
Right.
And that's the whole point of this podcast is like sincerity is so fucking huge. And sincerity is so lacking in that community that it just fucking blows my mind.
I've met a bunch of people that are wealthy that flaunt it and show it. Mm-hmm. You know those women with their Louis Vuitton bags? It's like, I have a Louis Vuitton. Mm-hmm. And I also have met wealthy people that I had no fucking idea, and I gravitate towards them because I feel like wealthy people or privileged people, whatever you want to call it, they have this aura about them where they're like high and mighty. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's part of having money and privileges. I don't know how to defend them. I really can't, I guess. But the ones that really carry themselves like friendly and aren't carrying around a Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
And are looking down on you because you have your Kavu bag. Or I can never say that brand. What's that Swedish brand of backpacks?
Oh, I know.
Claw Raven or whatever.
Yeah,
I have one of those too. And I'm like, oh, because I'm a mom. Like I gotta have
you were telling me about
snacks
that,
in my car or my purse.
The last time we saw you guys, I think you had it and you were telling me about it.
Yeah. I had to have snacks for kids. Like, come on, and for myself.
When I was in treatment, the first person that I befriended was, and I had no idea until later, was this dude that was a millionaire.
Oh wow!
And I was like, it's so, and I don't know if every, person of privilege has to go through some shit like that, where like, the guy almost died.
I always heard about the husbands, never so much the women, but yeah.
As far as
seeking treatment for something because they've had a really low. I don't really ever hear that about the women.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also a Stepford wife vibes that they probably just sweep it under the rug.
Right.
But who
because
knows?
if they show it's not a weakness, it's a flaw.
Yes.
For a man, it's like I was weak in this moment type of thing. But for a woman, it's projected that it's like a weakness. And
it starts defining them and
yes, exactly. Whereas a man can recover from it and be better. I don't know.
Even if they hit their wives,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely true. That is, I mean, the women that I've met that because the other thing that fascinates me is women who do go through treatment and are like brave enough to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Like Betty Ford was an addict for years.
That's why they're named after her now. But no one knows that. They're like, oh, Betty Ford, she must have been a donator. Or,
Yeah. Yeah, when you look into the history of it, like she was like, I was fucked up all the time. Mm-hmm. She didn't say it like that.
Right,
but
basically.
But it was a lot of like swept under the rug, or we'll just give her pills and that'll keep her from drinking, and it's just super weird. But so with the women that I've met, it doesn't stop after treatment for them in two ways. So like we always are in recovery, if you've gone through that shit, but with women, there's the societal shit that they have to go through still.
So much stigma.
So you can't just like get out of treatment and be like, fuck, I can finally like just breathe and live my life and try to be safe. Like, you still have to keep up with these fucking physical appearances. You know, Kim does her makeup for an hour every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes she doesn't even see people. It's just the notion that she might have to interact with somebody, which is fucking crazy. I'm in shorts and
or if she doesn't
right
show
now.
up with makeup, that poor woman is going to be like, are you sick?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with you?
Exactly. So it's crazy. Like, so for women, like, it seems like it's easier to get caught up in depression and anxiety and all that other stuff on top of the shit that you're already going through.
Yep.
It's just fucking nuts. So moving on to that aspect of things. So when did you start to notice that you felt like, oh my God, I have to like worry about what I look like?
After I had Evan, because I didn't lose my baby weight as fast as you never lose your baby weight as fast as you do with your first child.
Yeah.
But also with Evan, I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, where with Elsie, I just kept working. And so I didn't push myself as hard. And then looking at pictures, I was like, oh my God. Like, woof. Like,
oh, like pictures that you were in?
Yeah, pictures of myself. Like, I started hating it, and I look in the mirror, and I'd be like, girlfriend. You know? And I was just picking myself apart, and I'd go to events with Paul, and I remember one time I went to a thing, and it was maybe 6 or 7 months after I had Evan, and a woman's like, are you pregnant? I'm like, and I thought I was looking bomb in this dress, and I'm like, fuck. Hey, I didn't think I looked pregnant, but now I'm like, do I look pregnant? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Starting to pick it apart more. And then at night, I'd be strolling through Instagram and looking at pictures of people I know, and then celebrities would pop up, and I'm like, oh my God. And it just, without me realizing it, it started like fucking with me. And I still have issues from that.
Yeah.
Thinking I need to look one way versus how I should just be happy with.
Yeah.
Because there's so much pressure to be super tiny and weighing like 120 pounds and big boobs and...
I'm curious about like your friend circle.
Yeah.
Like...
I have a really good solid friend circle right now.
But how long did it take to get to that?
Okay. I'm really good at ghosting people intentionally and unintentionally. So that helped.
Okay.
I don't even give people an explanation why I'm cutting them out of my life. But just not putting myself, like noticing like every time I hang out with them, be like, God, I really hate myself. And just kind of thinking deep about it and be like, it's them. I don't need to be around them anymore. And I just don't hang around them anymore unless I absolutely have to. And then even then it's like small dosages and I'm just put on my bitch face.
Yeah, that's the guard.
Yeah. And just either talk to the guys because I get along with them better.
At a certain age, usually, I would say, we just stop giving a shit.
Yep.
Because if, somebody says like, oh, I'm so fat, we're like, dude, I haven't showered in like 4 days.
Right.
Who gives a shit?
Versus with a guy, like if I tell my husband like, God, I feel fat, like a fat fuck. He's like, oh my God, like shut up. Where a girl, she's like, oh, have you tried this?
Oh, wow. Wow. That's super interesting.
Yeah. Like I have these new pills. Or have you tried this new workout?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. Okay. Well, thanks for not denying or confirming that. Just going straight there.
Paleo, keto, non-gluten diet.
Right. Which, yeah, I'm like, which I am doing gluten-free because I know gluten bugs me. But I still indulge here and there and I pay the price. But it's seriously, gluten makes like a 10-pound difference for me.
Oh, really?
If I overdo it, yeah. And I get massive stomach pains I can't get rid of.
I was going to say, do you have an aversion to it?
Yeah, I just haven't gotten tested, but since I know process of elimination, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is super interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but I hear that all the time, especially on my sister-in-laws.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't go to, well, you look awesome. It's like, oh, dude, I've been doing this. It's funny because my brother and I got up to 192 pounds during the pandemic, which most people did.
Most people have gained weight.
Yes, but I gained like 30 something
Okay.
pounds. This is not great. And it was like, I felt like physically uncomfortable. It was
Yeah.
fucking awful. But my brother and I were the only like fat ones.
Oh.
And we would be like, how much do you weigh? Oof, I'm right there. And like, we just kept having like fat contests, and we started losing weight and
Together?
Not like on purpose, but just so happened to be doing it at the same time.
Okay.
And he had me weigh myself at his house. I was like, man, I wonder what would happen if a girl did this. Like, this would be traumatizing if a girl did this to another girl. Step on the scale. I want to see how much you weigh.
Yeah, I was
Yikes.
doing a diet thing. I won't name the company.
Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi. I was doing Diet Pepsi, and every week they'd be like, "Hey, you gotta weigh yourself," and I would get anxiety from weighing myself every freaking Friday.
Oh, you had to show them your progress?
No, I had to tell them because they weren't open. I was doing COVID.
Oh, okay.
So I would do like a conference call every Friday and be like, "So did you weigh yourself?" I'm like, fuck. Fuck. No, I don't want to. Like, it's just a number. And I don't like to weigh myself anymore. I go versus like how I'm feeling. Because it's so easy to get caught up on those fucking numbers. And that determines everything, which is so dumb. A silly little number can make or break you.
Yeah.
That's how much power fucking scale has.
Yeah. I've heard that when it comes to weight loss, like the progressive stuff is like, don't look at the scale.
Yeah.
Just keep going until you feel this difference or that difference. Like, it's all these things. Because, like you're saying, it's all about the feeling.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Which I'm eating more whole foods and drinking water more. And I do...
More Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Like the store?
Oh, God. Hell no. Maybe Trader Joe's. But like just foods that aren't as processed. That type of Whole Foods.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And with farmers markets, it's like hell of easier, but...
Yeah. Maybe I'm worried now too, because I've started to notice like Layla's getting armpit hair and she's getting self-conscious about leg hair, and it's like, God damn it. Like, I don't remember getting worried about any of that shit when I was growing up. And it sucks. That's what I mean, is like a lifetime of having to appear to be something that you're not.
All put together.
Yeah.
All of your shit straight. Yeah. It's so weird. Like, you're taught to immediately start shaving your legs. Like, you shouldn't have leg hair or armpit hair or any hair.
Yeah.
We're going to go there. Like, why?
And there's a movement now. Like, I've been seeing these models who have armpit hair.
Even unibrows.
Yes. Yeah. I fucking love it. Like, the first time I saw it, I don't know why, but I was like, dude.
I can't stop looking. I don't remember her name, but she's got like dirty blondish hair. Cannot remember her name.
Are you talking about the musician?
No, I think she's a model with a unibrow. But I'm like, I can't stop staring. So I'm like, good for you. Like,
is it Stefania?
Something like that. I think she's like Russian or something.
She kind of a bigger gal?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's amazing. Amazing.
Like, hell yeah. And I love anyone that doesn't conform to what society wants you to look like or be.
And I mean,
love it.
It's such a huge scream. I think the reason why I got pumped is because it's like she still looks rad as hell.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing keeping her from. She's clearly still a female.
Right.
I mean, this is somebody that identified as female, and it's like the armpit hair doesn't change anything about that.
Why does that determine my gender?
Yeah. Yes.
And like Elsie, I was having a conversation with her too, because we had to talk about body stuff, and it's like, yeah, one day I'll just start shaving. She's like, I don't want to shave my legs. And at first I'm like, well, you're going to need to. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. One of our closest friends got married last year, and she did not shave her legs and still doesn't. And it's like, why? It's your fucking day.
Right.
Also, how often do you have to shave your legs?
I maybe shave mine like twice a week.
But see,
I should shave them more.
Which is crazy. Like any sign of black hairs and you're like, ah.
Right.
That's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Right.
So you're introduced to this different class. Mm-hmm. Plus you have all of the shit that was ingrained in you.
Yep.
So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually really good now. I'm finding out I'm more of a spiritual person than a godly person.
Okay.
I've been reading a lot about Buddhism, but I'm not a pro. I like the whole, my philosophy to life is you get what you give. Good. There is a balance between good and evil. Mm-hmm. Don't treat the planet better than you leave it. I think I'm a hippie. My God. That's okay. I'm here for it.
We're all going to have to be hippies at some point.
Right. I think there's something bigger out there than all of us can ever comprehend. And I don't know my level of comfort on identifying that strictly as God.
I've tried. It's weird to be an atheist and to try and comfort people in having faith.
Right.
And it's something that happened in treatment. Like, I just had to find different ways of
which most people come out finding God after treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's true. And
I don't know what goes on there, but...
It was started by two fairly religious individuals. Okay. So, and they definitely tried. But I just found ways of making sense of that, what I perceived to... I mean, in that situation, madness, for sure. But the... people saying, I'm praying for you. Right. Really all they're saying is, I hope that whatever you need is made available to you. Right. It's a hope. They're hoping for the best for you because they don't have the means to be able to make that happen. Prayers in general are really just hopes. You're just hoping that the best outcome happens. Right. I hope the best for you. And that's it's similar to what's it called? Self-affirmation? Yep. Self-affirming? Mm-hmm. So, you say, I'm happy, I'm grounded, I'm these things. Yep. It's the same thing.
You're manifesting your own energies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to... You're looking for the best outcome. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Because we all say that to people. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have these things. So, with the whole faith thing... I don't think there's anything wrong with hoping for the best. Right. And when it comes to the people who push it, I think that there's part of them that is afraid that if they don't believe, then is that meaning that my shit means nothing? Right. And so I feel myself rebel against people like that. I start bucking because I feel like I'm being put into a box. Well, with religion, luckily, there's thousands of boxes, so. Oh, for sure. But yeah, mine, I'm trying to, maybe I'll start my own religious cult. Watch out. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's God. I think it's this big thing, the Big Bang. And I think it just, with nighttime and daytime, it's just a big balance of light and dark. And none of us are going to be able to comprehend it. No one ever can. Yeah. And I think religion does that, so it makes people comfortable. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean... And Evan's not baptized, Elsie is. And I absolutely hate it when people tell me Evan will go to hell if she dies. People have told you that? Mm-hmm. What the fuck? No one knows what happens after you die, okay? No one knows. My, honestly, what if I were to be swayed to the concept of a creator, right? The concept would be some entity had the capability to introduce a thing. Yes. When we started to progress and consciousness became we're more self-aware. Yeah. We're constantly searching for meaning. Uh-huh. So this thing was capable of doing one thing. Right. They had no idea that we would introduce technology and all of this other wild shit. Aliens. It's not us, it's aliens. But the fact that we're here is so incredible. Agreed. That we're okay, whoever did this had to have been fucking amazing, right? Right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And really all they were hoping for was like a positive outcome.
Right.
And maybe that's why we generally are like, we would prefer a positive outcome.
Right. But like when you start talking to religious people, you start talking about like, I believe in the Big Bang Theory and evolution, all that. Like they can't.
Oh, that's the other thing that I tell people is, okay, so let's pretend God's a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to not believe in God to make this happen for
Right.
yourself. God uses tools in order to make certain things happen. So even if he created us, maybe the way that he did it was via the Big Bang. And it was via these other, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
if God works in mysterious ways and he doesn't want you to see his hand, maybe he did this shit so that it wouldn't be completely obvious.
Right.
There's all kinds of like, and again, it's a weird stance to have to like, I don't believe in any of that shit. But if you're going to, it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice like common sense.
Right.
You can still have the things that like Occam's razor, like the most obvious outcome is probably I forget how it goes, but the most probable thing is probably what it is.
Right.
When it comes to like trying to solve solutions. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, yeah, evolution seems pretty legit. The Earth is probably older than 6,000 years.
Right.
As most things suggest. And none of that shit means that the creator isn't still out there. It doesn't have to, because he's capable. If he's capable of everything, then let him be capable of doing all of this shit too.
That's where Mormons are kind of onto something though, because the Bible doesn't talk about, unless I missed that part, but it doesn't talk about other life out there. Mormons are like, it's us. We made those planets.
Oh, yeah.
But there's just so many things, so many questions I have that the Bible can't answer for me.
Yeah.
That really made me start questioning, like, wait a minute. Because I have a scientific brain in some ways, and I can see that it makes sense with evolution from us coming from monkeys or whatever. And then the Big Bang, like, it all makes sense to me. I find it really hard for me to just dive into religion and just accept that.
Yeah.
God created everything. Like, it's really hard for me to.
I think from a family perspective.
Yeah.
My dad is a very logical person. Mm-hmm. He went with the LDS church because this is my theory. Like I haven't gotten him to admit it completely. He wasn't raised in it? He was, okay. But they all broke off. Their parents got divorced and it just went to shit. And he was almost done with it. But then I think a turning point was when he thought about having a family. What does a family look like? What does a happy family look like? And like, how do we truly give ourselves the best shot at having a happy family? And I think he saw what the Mormon church, because that's their biggest plug, is like, look at our families, dude.
Right.
And for a while, they were doing pretty good.
Right.
And then the opiate epidemic happened
and polygamy, like, which is not all Mormons. It's just like a little chapter of it.
FLDS, Fundamental Latter-day Saints.
Right. They live in Utah. Okay, just remember that. In Canada. Oh my God, yes. I forgot I heard that once. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what he saw, and I'll see him talk about certain things.
Yeah.
Or hear him talk about certain things and be like, I know that goes against like the church though. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I think people in the back of their minds, most people, they know deep down that the majority of what the world has to offer is what it is.
Right.
But I mean, that can feel really fucking hopeless. So you go out searching, because part of the self-awareness thing is searching for meaning and the why. Why is like the biggest reason why we have like leaped forward. The fact that you and I are sitting in a climate controlled home with artificial light amplifying our voices. Like, this is all fucking insane compared to the chimpanzee that is throwing poop at its neighbor. Like,
Absolutely.
it is crazy. It's really hard to swallow that, like, we just figured it out. You're telling me that this shit just happened?
Right.
That's
we just
really,
started speaking words.
Yeah. It's really, really, really tough to wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm.
So the meaning in things. I'm a humanist more than I am an atheist. I mean, an atheist isn't even really a religion. It's just...
Explain humanist.
So humanism is the concept of a social contract.
Okay.
Which is, if we're going to succeed and not destroy this world, we have to learn how to trust each other.
Right.
And figure out this way, how do we effectively form this contract of trust?
Interesting.
Yeah. And so it's the idea that, like, we've got to come together to be able to succeed. Because, I mean, you look around the world and it is a shit show.
Oh my God.
And we have the means to be able to help everyone. We could do it. But there's this distrust.
Pride,
absolutely. Yeah, pride is a huge one. But oh, yeah, like, it's so hard to trust people. We've gone through so much and all these things. So, like, humanism is like, we've got to figure out how to do that. I need to have faith in you. So it's having faith in the human race. And how do we achieve that?
It's like Jeff Bezos, or whatever his name is, his ex-wife. She keeps donating millions just to get rid of it. Like, she donated 20-something million. And then you see these other celebrities, like Kylie Jenner, I think at one point was doing a GoFundMe for a friend. And you hear about that all the time from celebrities doing GoFundMe, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. But yeah, it's, from that perspective, it's always weird because how rich are they? Mm-hmm. Like, what do they physically have?
Right.
Like, Bezos' wife has millions because she won the court case, which means you have to physically move that shit. Mm-hmm. Bezos is worth whatever.
Yeah.
So people assume that he just has this, mountain of cash or something.
Fun fact real quick. Have you seen the petition about him not returning to Earth because he's going to go? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh my God. He's going to, between now and like the 7th, I believe, he's going to go up into space and then come back down. But people are trying to petition him not to come back.
That's hilarious.
Google it. It's awesome.
Oh my God.
And it's gaining traction. I mean, people are here for it.
But yeah, he could either go into space or help. But how do you do it, right?
Or just be taxed properly. That would help too.
But that's the other thing. So all of those, like, forms of thinking is we're against him. Mm-hmm. And even before, actually, when we were talking about, like, the, these societies or classes and things, it's pretty apparent that there's still a ton of mistrust. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to get there. So hopefully, by just trying to, that's what, and people get weirded out sometimes. Luckily, you're cool with it. But, like, when I dig because I want to understand and best know, like, and it's because I'm bipolar, I also have what's the word? Oh, codependency.
Oh, yeah.
So codependency issues, which the culmination can, like, a lot of empathic people are really just bipolar.
Oh my God. Really?
To some degree. There's hypomania.
A lot of questions about myself now.
Well, I mean, it depends on how far you go. I mean, me basically doing trial and error for like 25 years. Mm-hmm. I now, because I've done, like, all of this testing, I'm pretty good at figuring out if there's more to somebody, if there's another thing, and if there's, like, more worth hearing from them. But the reason I was doing it before was because my mental health stuff prevented me from, like, recognizing that it's inappropriate to try and, like, figure out somebody's backstory while you're waiting in line at Subway. Like,
People give me their stories. I don't even ask. People love giving me their stories.
Same. And I think that they recognize, because there's enough of us now, that they go, there's something about you
that I can bare my soul to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I love that. I think it's fucking great.
I love it too. It's funny because I'm like, oh. And it always, my sister will be with me a few times. She goes, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, I just learned about her life. She goes, why does that happen? I'm like, we're vibing. I don't know. Because I like pick up people's vibes too. And if it's kind of dark, I just leave them alone. If it's happy, I jump in, You
know what? Now that I think about it, and it comes back to the reason why I'm doing this show, I think there's a level of sincerity that is visible in your posture, in your eyes. There's a way of like catching that, and it makes people's fight or flight, dissipate. Because there's social anxiety initially. If somebody makes eye contact for too long, like, it's like, what the fuck?
Right.
But when you notice that, like, oh, they don't seem to give a shit that I'm standing here.
Because I'm the weirdo. Like, that's usually the vibes I get from people. I'm like I can be outspoken sometime and I make inappropriate jokes. It's fine. I'm funny. I think I'm funny.
You're hilarious.
Thank you. But when I'm around like these high and mighty people, like I get the vibe that I'm the weirdo and they don't know if they want to associate with that.
Yeah. I've been in those situations before.
Which I'm fine with now, where before I'm like, what the fuck you then,
And so for me, like the codependency thing, I'm like, no, give me a chance to show you that, like, I know I seem weird right now,
right?
But just give me a little bit, and it'll make sense why I'm like acting like this,
right?
Because I do the same thing. Those inappropriate jokes break down people's defenses.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's nice because they go, oh, this person doesn't give a fuck. What else is going on?
How do you really feel about this?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm an open book for the most part, I have to really not. I overshare sometimes, but that's usually because I'm uncomfortable. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah.
See, and I want more of that.
Yeah.
And the reason being, I think you're worth it.
Thank you.
And
if I really get to know you, then I'm like, I really don't care. But if I'm uncomfortable, I'm like, and they're like, whoa.
But I also think that people can learn from it too. Like, I'm sure that there are people that still have this perception because Paul posts photos of you with like Imagine Dragons and like doing like meeting all these stars and shit, that like you have, some level of snobbery to you. But
yes,
you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
This assumed because you have this means your life must be fucking incredible,
right?
Not realizing all.
And I'm so nervous when I meet famous people. I'm like,
yeah.
I have to make sure I'm not smiling, as awkward as I feel, because I get so intimidated.
Yeah.
But I'm sure to them, it probably looks like I'm the queen, which I am. But, like, yeah.
And so, I mean, these types of episodes are opportunities for people to see. Like I said, I perceive you as this down to earth, like always been so easy to talk to. And I think if more people had your approach,
right,
then there would be less confrontation. Like the level of acceptance that you have and that self-love that you're seeking to achieve, like that shit's important.
But yeah, like you only have one life to live. Do you really want to live it catering to everyone's expectations?
People you don't know.
Like, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's so exhausting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're a weirdo, I'll be your friend.
That's fantastic.
Exactly.
That's going to be the tag for the episode.
But for real, like, I'm into all sorts of weird shit. And I'm willing to try anything.
I have some heroin. I was wondering if maybe.
I've never done it. Let's shoot up live. No. Is that what you do? Shoot it up?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. See, I'm hip.
I mean, some people snort it.
That's cool.
Which is wild.
I used to snort pixie sticks because I thought it was cool.
That's so funny.
Why?
It seems like after treatment, more and more people tell me about that. For starters, that wasn't like my main thing, but also it's hilarious to even... I don't understand why we did it.
even then, when you think about the candy cigarettes we had as kids, why they still make them because I see them randomly,
Yeah.
but why?
It's
Or the
crazy.
chewing bubble gum look like chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
Or even the beef jerky.
Yep.
Like, why? Why?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
We live in crazy times.
We really do. And it's having kids in these crazy times with all the social media.
Oh, that was I'm glad you said that.
Reaching, like, I don't know, all these eyes on them. It sucks.
I was going to ask about that. Like, do you have people who will say hi to your kids that you don't know?
Fun story. One time I was trying to go shopping without my husband knowing at Kohl's.
Uh-huh.
And someone's like, hey, Elsie and Evan. I'm like, what? She goes, oh, I recognize you from your daddy's page. Like, I'm friends with your daddy. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm just standing there like, hi, I'm their mom. Oh, yeah, I know you. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Don't tell my husband I'm here, but like, who are you?
It's so hard to get your kids to like learn to be accepting, but also there are people who will try to deceive you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so hard to communicate that. And then with the social media stuff,
yeah,
it's so easy for somebody to say exactly that exact story. Mm-hmm. It's fucking terrifying.
It is. And then I don't mind it if we're at like a kids event and they're like, oh, Elsie and
sure.
Evan, like, especially if it's one of the event people, like that's totally fine. But if it's like if I take Elsie to a concert, they're like, oh, Elsie, I'm like, can you just please introduce yourself to me first? Because like Mama Bear is like, ugh.
Yeah. And if you have kids, how do you not know? Like, you can't just say
Thank you.
You can't just say hi, especially calling them by name. Like if you see the parents and like,
right.
Like I've used my like approachableness to help a situation.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, I saw a kid on Instagram and now I'm going to go say hi to the kid before I say hi to the parent.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
And I love that people like connect with us as a family sometimes or enjoy watching my kids grow up, as I've heard, but come like approach me first.
Yeah.
Because even Elsie gets kind of like,
it's scary.
Who are you? Because they know they're not allowed to talk to strangers. And so they'll look at me like, but they know me. No, they're still a stranger.
Yeah, I mean, with all of we've had, Jesus, maybe 100 people actually between like all of the shows that we've done come into the house. We introduce them to the kids.
Right.
I know that they've seen the kids.
And I'm sorry if I come off as a bitch when you're like coming at me or coming at my kids first, but like, don't.
It should make so much sense. You shouldn't have to have that preface. Like, It should be so obvious. Nobody should have to apologize for like protecting their kids from someone they don't fucking know. And I know I'm a humanist and I want that world to be possible.
Right.
But we've got a lot of fucking work to do before we get there.
100%.
Hoofda loofda.
You need to be the next Robin Hood.
Okay.
Do it.
Sure.
I won't tell anyone.
Okay. We got to cut
What was his
this part
sidekick?
Out. Lil Jon.
I'll be Lil Jon.
Yeah! That'd be great if
I'll even talk like that. You'll give your speech and be like, yeah, or however he says it.
What has helped you in this journey of like self-acceptance and
knowing my flaws and not being being ashamed of them? Because like before, I never talk about my teeth or my birthmark. Like I pretend they both don't exist. But owning up to it, knowing I'm not perfect, and I don't want to be perfect. And I'm a bomb-ass person. I have a lot to offer people.
That's fantastic. I mean, like, how do you get to there, though?
Just surrounding yourself by positive people. And, God, I did a lot of things, man.
Like, did you do therapy?
No.
See, and that's the tough thing.
Yeah, just knowing that I have 2 daughters and I want them to grow up loving who they are, no matter what, and being able to do whatever they want and love whoever they want. It kind of opened up a lot of things in me. I'm like, if I don't want them to care about what they look like or who they are, why should I? Like, what am I teaching them? Like, I'm saying it, but am I doing it?
Yeah.
And so I just started doing it.
That's it.
Because your kids watch you more than you think they do.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want my kids growing up to be little bitches. And we have very open and honest conversations with them. And,
I mean, that reminded me, like, so there were the two most important things that I learned in treatment. And I tried to make it as basic as possible because they want you to find your higher power. And, is it an eagle? Is it the trees? It can be whatever the fuck.
Okay.
I was like, God, that's a lot of pressure.
It is. Especially when you're like detoxing.
Yeah.
Is that all at the same time?
Within days.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So it's all compact. Yeah. But so the thing that I learned was the first thing was survival. I just want to survive this so that I can have a chance.
Yeah.
And it really, like, it's hard to wrap your head around survival now because it doesn't feel like you necessarily have to survive.
Right.
So then the other thing was purpose. And in that scenario, your kids give you purpose to be better.
Yep.
So that motivation, like, so it's another thing, like, purpose can be really basic. Like, all that is, like, being a parent sounds like, yeah, you have kids, you're a parent.
Right.
Sounds really simple. Super fucking complicated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that give up or do a very bad job because of XYZ. So, like, yeah, it's just that basic thing, purpose, so that they're not assholes.
Yep.
It's all it has to be. But it's tough to find that. And that's why I wanted, like, when I was going through my shit, to make it basic, because ADHD, mental health stuff, like, there's so much shit and the world sucks.
Yep.
That you gotta make it more basic.
Yeah.
Because then it seems more plausible or easier to achieve.
Yep. And we kind of recently discussed that we're not going to raise our kids religious, but I'm not like a crystal waving person. Ask me again in a year. But like the natural healing stuff, I'm totally into. And I'm raising my kids to kind of be that way. And they're very environmental friendly. Like, they're super aware of recycling and not using a lot of plastic.
Nice.
So I'm just, yeah. And Elsie is one time asked, like, does she have to marry a boy? We're like, no. If you want to, that's great. You don't have to. Like, just letting them know that again, raising girls, I'm not going to put them in like that. You have to marry a boy. He has to be white. Like, that type of shit that I think a lot of parents do, they don't realize they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple as giving your kids different colored Barbies.
Yeah. Well, and parents, without knowing it, when they say a nice boy like so-and-so.
Right.
A nice boy like
John Smith.
But yeah, like, giving these examples as to, like, oh, my parents won't approve of somebody unless they're like this.
Right.
So do I have to hide the fact that I love not a boy? Like,
yeah.
What if they don't fit this? And yeah, so it seems like it's harmless, but it's all.
Yeah, and even like trans, Elsie be like, are they a boy or a girl? I'm like, I don't know. Does it matter? No? Okay. Do they look happy? Yeah. Okay, great.
So our producer is trans, and the kids.
Oh, yeah, you've told me that.
Yeah. The kids are like, there was something going on at with the Becker schools. There was a big problem. Lot of parents inundating their kids with bullshit, and like, anyways. So when we
were they the same people that were Trump and not vaccinated?
Of course.
Okay, cool.
But the kids just being like, Mara is nice. Like, why do people not, why are they against this?
Right.
It really didn't make sense to them. And seeing that is so reassuring to be
100%.
we judge people on the music they listen to.
Exactly. Yes. And the shoes they wear. No.
No, we judge people by their character. Like how do they interact with our family? Like so it's nice that's that hope, you know, these
sure.
little things. Well, awesome. I mean, I could go on and on with you for hours and hours.
Agreed.
But I know Kim wants to hang and say hi.
Oh, is she home?
She's home now.
Oh, nice.
And Ashi wants to hang out with us so bad that she's been laying at the door. This is another big thing that friends need to do more of, which is I love you.
I love you too.
You guys are all amazing.
Oh,
but
thank you.
Especially
you too.
you.
You and your family. Yeah.
It's fantastico. And yeah, I hope that people like get something from this. And
if they don't, just keep listening until you do.
What? That's fantastic. Okay. Well, anything else that you want to share with the peoples?
Don't be jerks and don't raise jerks.
That's fantastic. I'm going to put it on a shirt. Love is love. Oh, what's the organization that you guys work with every year?
Children's Minnesota. That's the one I associate with.
Fantastic. Donate to that. I mean, it should be obvious in the title. Trying to save some kids.
Exactly. They saved mine, okay?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.